Ronan sat in the large leather chair behind his desk. The office was dim, the only light coming from the tall window behind him. His finger tapped slowly on the armrest as he listened. Victor stood in front of the desk, calm but serious. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. Ronan finally leaned back slightly. So you are telling me the girl in my house? Victor nodded once. Is her daughter? Ronan's jaw tightened. His mind replayed everything. Miko's attitude, her fearless eyes, the way she spoke to him without fear. Her mother was Mira John. Victor continued quietly. Ronan's eyes darkened. Mira, the wife of John Jungkook. Silence filled the room again. Ronan let out a slow breath, running a hand through his hair. And you're telling me this now? Victor did not answer immediately. Before he could speak, the door suddenly opened. Without waiting for permission, both men turned. Miko stepped inside the office, completely unaware of the heavy conversation that had just happened. Her hair was slightly messy, and she looked annoyed. She crossed her arms and looked straight at Ronan. Seriously, she said, your guards outside are so dramatic. I just wanted to ask where the kitchen is. Ronan stared at her for the first time since hearing the truth. He looked at her differently. Slowly, he leaned back into his chair. Victor remained standing across the desk, watching him carefully. So, Ronan finally spoke, his voice low. Mira Jung. Victor nodded slightly. Ronan drummed his fingers on the armrest, thinking, you said she's died. Yes. Ronan's eyes narrowed. How? Victor hesitated for a second before answering. That's the strange part. Nobody knows exactly how Mira died. The words hung heavily in the air. Victor continued slowly. Officially, it was said to be a car accident, a collision on the Sea Bright Bridge late at night. I- If Mira was pregnant and that girl is Jungkook's daughter, Roland said slowly, then how does nobody know he even has a daughter? Victor answered calmly, because after Mira's death, the baby did not stay with Jungkook. Ronan looked up. She was sent to live with Mira's parents. Victor explained. Her grandparents raised her away from the mafia world. Very few people knew about her. Then how does she knew Emily Park? Ronan asked, his voice low. Victor's expression changed slightly. That, he said after a moment, is something we still need to find out. Midnight wrapped the mansion in silence. The long hallways were dark, only a few dim lights moving along the walls. Everyone seemed asleep. Everyone except Miko. She stepped quietly across the cold marble floor, her bare feet making almost no sound. Her heart was beating fast as she looked around carefully. I need to get out of here. She had already checked the main door earlier, locked. The guards outside, impossible. But maid had accidentally mentioned something at demo. The main gate key stays in Ronan's bedroom. Migo clenched her jaw. Great, she whispered under her breath. Kidnapped by a psycho who sleeps with the house keys. Still, she had no other choice. Slowly, she moved down the hallway until she reached the large wooden door at the end. Ronald's room. She took a deep breath and carefully pushed the door open. The room was dark. Moonlight slipped through the large window, faintly lighting the space. Everything looked quiet. Miko stepped inside slowly, her eyes scanning the room. Where would he keep the key? A desk? A cabinet? She walked toward the table, carefully opening a drawer. Nothing. She moved to the side table near the bed. Still nothing. Where the hell did he? Suddenly, a hand grabbed her wrist. Miko gasped as her back hit the wall behind her. A tall shadow moved closer. Ronan. The moonlight revealed his face as he looked down at her, his expression calm, almost amused. Well, he said slowly, his voice deep with sleep and curiosity. What are you doing in my bedroom? At midnight. Miko's heart pounded wildly. She tried to pull her hand away, but his grip tightened slightly. You were looking for something? He asked, raising an eyebrow. Her eyes flicked toward the desk for a second. Ronan noticed his lips curve into a slow smile. The key, he guessed. Miko glared at him, let go. Instead, Ronan stepped closer. Now there was barely any space between them. You plan to escape, he said quietly. Obviously. Ronan chuckled softly. You walked into the one room you should not have. Miko lifted her chin stubbornly. Move. Instead of moving, Ronan placed his free hand against the wall beside her head, trapping her between him and the wall, slightly at how close he suddenly was. You are brave, he murmured. Miko tried to push him away with her free hand. Or maybe you are just annoying. Ronan caught that wrist too. Now both her hands were pinned. Annoying, he repeated, amused. Their faces were only inches apart now. Miko could feel his breath against her skin, warm and steady. Let me go, she said again, but her voice was quieter this time. Ronan tilted his head slightly, studying her face. You know, he said slowly, most people would be terrified standing this close to me. Miko rolled her eyes. Good thing. I'm not most person. For a second, Ronan simply stared at her. Then his gaze dropped briefly to her legs before returning to her eyes. The tension between them suddenly felt much heavier. Unfortunately for you, Ronan said softly, escaping this house isn't that easy. He leaned slightly closer, his voice almost a whisper now, and sneaking into my bedroom, his lips curved into a teasing smirk, was a very bad decision.